Georgia quarterback Carson Beck is arguably the top quarterback entering the 2024 college football season. So, with the season right around the corner, let's create a little quarterback profile. Let's go through some of his attributes, his strengths, what he does well, and talk about what we can expect for the 2024 season. We're also going to look at 4 or 5 clips of games from last year in 2023, and it's broadcast footage, so I do apologize. But I think it does a good enough job, at least showcasing and demonstrating the point we're trying to get across with Carson Beck. And I do have to slow those clips down, just fair warning, and we'll get into those clips in about 2 minutes or so. But before we get into the clips, let's talk about Carson Beck. Let's talk about his profile, how we profile him, arm strength, accuracy, experience, mobility, all that fun stuff, and then some notes from last year that stood out. So let's go through arm strength first. Boom. Strong arm, capable of making any deep throws, fitting the ball into tight windows. And I think we see this on multiple occasions, not just the deep bombs, but the strikes down the middle of the field, I think, are very impressive too. And Beck is a quarterback who lived in the middle of the field. And a lot of times quarterbacks that live in just one area don't always have success, but you just couldn't beat Carson Beck in the middle of the field. He had 24 something hundred yards passing in the middle and inside the numbers. And he had less than 1,000 yards passing outside the numbers, which isn't necessarily uncommon. Like most times you see quarterbacks have more yards inside the number, especially college football, with numbers being a bit wide. But Beck had almost 1,500 yards more. You usually don't see it that much. So he just carved the defense up in the middle of the field. There's no real point to have to attack wide throws. Now, when he did, he still performed well, but he lived in the middle of the field. His arm strength was a big reason why. His accuracy, very accurate and short to intermediate throws, but even the deep balls. He had 19 completions where the ball was thrown 20-plus yards or more downfield. And his accuracy, I think he was the third most accurate quarterback in the SEC in those type of throws. Now, he didn't really need to do those type of throws a lot per se. But when he did it, he was accurate and he was good at it. A lot of experience, right? We know he's got a lot of experience coming in back from year 2. I think he's more of a mobile quarterback than given credit for. Now, he wants to stay in the pocket. He wants to rip it downfield, but he can use his legs when he needs to. The overall takeaway from him is I think he is the number 1 quarterback entering the 2024 season. My biggest not criticism per se, but just question coming up is they do have a tough schedule, right? They go to Bama, they go to Texas, and the only time he struggled last year was the SEC championship game against Bama. So can he make enough improvements to perform well consistently against the very, very top competition, which I think is the only real question. But I mean, even last year, he dominated their best opponents. Like Tennessee, Kentucky, Mizzou, Ole Miss, those 4 games, he had 11 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. Even against South Carolina, we're going to watch a clip against South Carolina. They were down 14-3 in the second half. He was able to turn it on, come downfield, and make some really good throws against Auburn. Even there was a little close, right? So I think he dominated the best opponents that they played, with the exception of Alabama. So when you play the top guys, can you have a consistent game throughout? He was excellent against the blitz. He was excellent whenever the defense would drop 8. He was excellent on play action. He was excellent without the use of play action, which isn't always the case for a lot of quarterbacks. And was very, very accurate in all his throws downfield. Another thing I want to touch on before we look at these clips, is him getting rid of the ball so quickly. He led the SEC in the amount of attempts or completions percentage, or the amount of his throws that were thrown less than 2.5 seconds. That really does a good job taking stress off the offensive line. Now, Georgia had arguably the best offensive line in the nation, but Beck is still getting rid of the ball quickly, which we're going to see. So let's dive into this film. Enough of me talking. I know you're probably sick of seeing my face. Let's dive into the film. About 4 or 5 clips. Again, broadcast footage. I do apologize, but does a good job still showcasing what we're trying to get across. All right, so here is Beck throwing down the field, middle of the field, 20-plus yard throw. This is something that Georgia didn't do necessarily often because they didn't have to take shots downfield. But you can see they're down 14-3 here against South Carolina. This was early-ish on the season. Yeah, this is the 3rd game for each team. So this shows his accuracy downfield. He was the 3rd most accurate quarterback on these deep type of throws in the SEC. Again, they didn't need to take these shots often, but when they did, he was accurate and good at it, and they needed it right here. Let's see if I can mute this. Yes, again, YouTube film breakdown, so it's the regular broadcast footage. So I do apologize, but still gets the job done. Eyes remain downfield. You can see that he initially was looking this way, comes off his receiver, stands in the pocket. You got some chaotic a chaotic situation going on. Stands in the pocket, delivers the ball downfield, 20-plus yards in the air. It is accurate. Boom. Good throw. Again, that was a big throw there. Just a good example of what Beck does well. We'll watch, 2 or 3 more clips that kind of help showcase Beck's profile. All right, two things here, two takeaways from this play. It's one, getting rid of the ball quickly, and two, throwing his receiver open on a 3rd and 9 type throw. So this is going to be a back shoulder throw. But another reason why Beck rarely got sacked is, yes, the offensive line was probably the best in the nation, but Beck led the SEC in how many completions or the percentage of his passes that were out in less than 2.5 seconds, which is pretty big. And so I think this qualifies for both 1,000, 2. Yeah, ball comes out, good rhythm throw, and he throws his receiver open. You got an up top safety, so you're not taking a deep shot here. You got man coverage on top, pretty good coverage. Throw to where the DB is not, which is what Beck does, and ends up being a good throw and a good catch from Beck. So again, the two takeaways here: getting the ball out quickly, less than 2.5 seconds, and throwing your receiver open. All right, got a touchdown from Beck. Going to be in the middle of the field to Bauer, I believe. Right, yeah. But good example here showing what Beck was really strong at and something that he did really well at, and that's living in the middle of the field. Most quarterbacks, their yards are going to be more in the middle of the field, especially when you're going inside the numbers like this PFF stat is. But Beck had over 15 or right close to 1,500 yards more middle of the field compared to outside the numbers, and that's just because the defense couldn't defend it. This is right here. When you have a tight end like Georgia had last year, it's hard. You can see Beck's throwing it now. The DB was just sitting here at Beck. There's no way he could defend this. He's leaving, ball's thrown this space. Easy throw, easy read for Beck here, but a good example of this Beck living in the middle of the field. If you go back and watch Beck highlights, I mean, it's throw after throw after throw, inside the numbers, middle of the field. It's hard to defend. You have an arm like Beck, you're able to take advantage of that. So maybe we'll watch one or two more clips, and then we'll wrap this video up. All right, last clip we'll watch of Beck. This is a good job, I think, demonstrating several of the main characteristics and tools that he has that makes him potentially the best quarterback in college football. So we're going to see him strike down the middle of the field like we talked about. He's excellent in between the numbers. We're going to see a great throw here. We're going to see an accurate throw, and we're going to see the ball come out in less than 2.5 seconds. So the ball comes out quick because Tennessee actually does a good job getting pressure on this throw, on this play, but Beck gets the ball out so quickly. The receiver does a good job getting open. It's an accurate throw in the middle of the field. It's kind of several of the things Beck does well all in one play. Tennessee only brings 4. I believe it's this receiver coming this way, if I remember correctly. We'll double check. Yeah. So you can notice that his eyes were initially looking this way, comes back here. Ball is coming out in right about 2.5 seconds, maybe slightly over, but still a pretty good job of Beck getting rid of the ball quickly. Ball comes out, middle of the field, open receiver, good accurate throw there for Beck. So again, does he score a touchdown here? Let's see. Nope. Okay, gets tackled there. So good throw by Beck. Again, ball comes out quickly. It's middle of the field or in between the numbers here. It's a good accurate throw downfield. Again, so just 4 clips that we watched, but we saw him push the ball downfield. We saw him do a good job in the middle of the field. Several of his throws were inside the numbers, and we also saw him throw his receivers open. But what was a common thing in most of these throws is how quickly he gets rid of the ball. Yes, the offensive line is fantastic. Yes, one of the best in the nation, but he still gets rid of the ball extremely quickly, which helped take stress off the offensive line, and also can put the defense in a weird position because the ball is getting out so quickly, and he's throwing his receivers open, right? So I expect another good year for Beck in 2024. The biggest kind of, again, question mark is, can you continue your success from 2023? And when you play the very best competition, when you go to Texas, when you go to Bama, can you play consistently the entire game? Again, I think he's a top quarterback heading into 2024, but still got to go out and prove it. So Georgia fans or just college football fans in general, if you like this type of quarterback content, this niche-based stuff, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, all that fun stuff. It really does help. We put out a lot of quarterback content. We're going to be doing a lot of SEC quarterbacks. Going to have several weekly breakdowns and then several weekly shows talking about SEC quarterbacks. So if you like that type of stuff, consider subscribing, liking, all that fun YouTube stuff. It does help. I'll see you next time. Peace.